You know, as a young man, we don't really we don't really think about as young men we don't really think about the future as much as we ought to. Some people do. Okay, I was not one of those guys that thought about the future a great deal. I thought about it, but I wasn't really concerned about it. You know, and and I don't think anybody should be concerned about it. But what this video is about is is that I'm of the opinion that men should have some idea of how to create the things that they need, whether that's money, whether that's a bookshelf. Like I didn't have a bookshelf right here, or not a nice one, and I went to Lowe's, and it's nothing fancy. It's 2x4s and some boards, all pine. But I had what I wanted in mind. That thing's solid as Walmart stock, buddy. I had what I wanted in mind. I'm no carpenter, but I know how to do this kind of stuff. I know how to build chairs. I know how to build bookshelves. I can build tables. I can build desks. I can do simple things. You know, I could probably build stairs. I've never built a house. I've built decks and railings, you know, simple things. But instead of going out and paying $600 for this piece of furniture, I went and just built it myself, you know, because I knew exactly what I wanted for the space that I had right here behind me. And I knew what I wanted to put on it, and I had a purpose, you know. And and I guess I just, you get that by trial and error, you know. I never went to school to learn how to build these things. It just made sense to me. Same thing goes for cooking. Same thing goes for using power tools. Same thing goes for being able to chop wood, change a tire, weld a little bit. You don't have to be an expert welder or fabricator, but you ought to know how to do it. These days with cars, it's not like it was when I was a kid and with an '87 Bronco, and I could pretty much do everything myself and had the room to work on it. But knowing how to handle those things, knowing how to handle firearms, right? Knowing how to clean your firearms. All these things are skills that men should have, you know, and I believe, you know, I didn't, I'm an outdoorsman and I like hunting and fishing. And as a consequence of that, I like knives and I like guns. The, and I like camping and I like bushcraft type things, you know, on occasion. And I didn't have a I had a knife that I bought at an auction for Ducks Unlimited, and this is it right here. So I had this knife that I bought at auction. Okay, it's overkill. I get it, but I liked it. It's for a good cause, but the sheath that came with it was horrible. It was not what I needed at all. It's not. It's definitely not what I wanted to carry around. Not what I wanted. So I didn't know how to make a sheath. So what did I do? I got on YouTube, started watching videos about it, and my very first knife sheath that I put together came out like this. Very first one. Why did I want a different sheath? Because of this. I wanted a sheath that holds a ferro rod right there. So I built a sheath that holds a ferro rod. Now, do I take this out in the woods with me? No. I've got other knives that are better for being out in the woods with, you know, than this big giant clunky thing. Now, on a horse, yeah, I put that in a saddlebag, whatever, no problem, and because I'm usually not carrying that much stuff on a horse. But again, it's still overkill. It's a bear knife, and you'll probably die fighting a bear. But that was my first sheath right there. This was a sheath that I made later on. Okay. And I started making these sheaths for fun, and because to me it was cathartic, and it was something that I could do and kind of get my mind off of the world. And I built dog collars for my dogs. I built I made this other sheath right here, and I've given a lot of sheaths away, as presents for nephews and whatnot. The point is that we need to have a way to release. We need to have something that we're into, that, but at the same time, we need to know how to do for ourselves. That's grow food. Can you kill an animal and skin it, turn it into food? You know, these are all life skills, right? Making money is a life skill. Do you have a consistent way to make money from wherever you are? That's a life skill. We teach that in my business. That's what I do for a living, is teach people how to do that. But at the end of the day, we're looking at ways that in skills that men should have, in my opinion. If you can't provide for your family in the way that they need to be provided for, especially nutritionally, if you don't have any way to do that, and you have no idea what to do, and you're going to the grocery store and you're hoping they're not going to run out of food, you're in a bind. You're in a bind. And what I would encourage is that you learn these skills. There are people that teach them, okay? And now look, let's get to the hunting thing really quick. I am an outdoorsman. I do not enjoy the process of killing animals anymore. It's not that I don't. It's not that I can't. It's not that I won't. It's that I don't take great pleasure in that part of it. The hunt is the hunt, but like in Montana, I got really spoiled with it, because the deer would just walk right on up. The deer were always around. I mean, constantly around. Okay, elk they're in the yard. We came back from midnight mass one time, and I had 15 elk standing in my front yard. I ended up harvesting out of that herd, and shooting, not off the porch, but I could have been off the porch. I was off the side of the barn, off the side of the tack shed, and the reality of the situation is that when I kill an animal, I'm not. That's when the work starts. Number one, okay. That's killing. It's the easy part. Getting it turned into foods is what takes a long time, and that's where the work starts. But it's something that you do out of reverence. It's something that you do to fill the freezer for the family, okay. And can I go and buy beef? And yeah, absolutely. But the point is that if you can get elk meat, then I'll take an elk. Not say I'll take an elk over beef if I'm offered beef, but elk meat has its place. Moose has its place. In my opinion, if you can fill your freezer with beef, if you got a few cows and you can fill your freezer every year with beef, then you're not going to get any better meat and tallow than beef. But I digress. These are skills, nonetheless, that I believe men should have. If nothing else, than to take care of their family. Also, I think that it's prudent, not just as a spiritual leader of the home and a provider for the home, but I believe that we should all be keeping some food back, and you don't have to have 6 years worth of food. If you need 6 years worth of food, then you're not going to. Then you're not a very good hunter. But if you need 6 years worth of food, you need a bigger bind than you think, right? But but being able to have that on hand, have at least 6 months worth of food on hand to provide for your family is not crazy by any stretch of imagination, okay? And you don't have to, keep it all and then eat it when bad things happen. You can eat out of it and replace it, eat out of it and replace it. That's what we do. But we do have a supply, I'm not going to tell you how much food we have. And I'm not going to tell you what all guns we have either. I might show you a couple of them on the channel, but the but those are tools. That's equipment. Okay, they serve a purpose. Our pistols serve a purpose. Our firearm or our rifles serve a purpose. Some of them are long range. Some of them are made for short range. All serve a purpose, depending on what we're doing. But these are things that you learn. You know, how to keep a knife sharp. That's a skill that men learn, especially off of a stone. You know, my grandfather had an Arkansas whetstone, and I have it now, and it's got a little divot in the middle of it. I should probably get a new one, but it's something I learned how to do at a young age. It's sharpen a knife. You always need a good sharp knife. Keep one in your pocket. And my father used to tell me that a hand with a knife is worth more than a hand without a knife. It's the bottom line. Same skill sets, side by side, but if one's got a knife and one doesn't have a knife, you take the one with a knife, right? Sometimes you just need to open a box, cut a rope, something. But it'll get you out of a bind, just like we used to keep wire cutters in a saddlebag. God forbid, your horse walks into some barbed wire, and that can be a very, very dangerous situation. So these skills don't have to be, you don't have to know how to do every single thing. Okay, believe it or not, every nutrient you need is in meat. Okay, between the fat and the meat, every single nutrient your body needs to grow and build and be strong is there. Everything. Eggs, all that stuff. In my opinion, I think that people should raise a certain amount of their own food, whether that's have some chickens, for egg production. Good source of, everything it takes to make a chicken is inside that egg. Everything. Between the fat, it's not just fat and protein. It's all types of vitamins, nutrients. It's a total multivitamin. Everything it takes to make muscle on a cow is inside that beef. When you eat it, you get it. Okay? And it'll make muscle on you too. These things, and I'm not a doctor. We're not going to go into a bunch of nutrition stuff, but it's just good to know and understand of how to prepare and be prepared. And having these skills is just that. Having skills to do what you need to do when you need to do it is just that, preparation and providing for your family.